going to talk about Wesley Fofana. I'm sure you're expecting it. There's been a lot of speculation around his future and a potential move to Chelsea. Do you have any updates around that situation?
Nothing as of yet. No, nothing been confirmed. So I'm sure if anything is, then the club will let you know.
If and when it is confirmed, Brendan, how important is it to try and bring players in before Thursday to replace them and add to the squad?
Naturally, that would be the case, but we have to wait until there's any confirmation.
And looking at Thursday, obviously you play Manchester United that day. I know you'll say you're focusing on the game, but will part of you be thinking what may happen or may not happen on deadline day?
Well, we've waited until this point and not a great deal has happened, but we're hopeful that if we that we can do one or two things that can improve the squad and help the squad. So, but that'll be taken care of outside of the football game.
And if players were coming in, if Fofana gets completed, have you been looking at replacements since the speculation has started over the last few weeks? And do you have kind of targets ready to go before the deadline?
Yeah, I've said it all along. It's obviously very, very late in the window. However, our recruitment team have done a fantastic job over many months in terms of preparing possibilities. And of course, as time goes on, that can change. But the guys behind the scenes have done some great work. And like I say, if we have to hopefully press the button on one or two, then hopefully we're able to do that.
And do you have any frustrations that it is so late in the window? We're kind of going into 4 games into the season, and the window's kind of been the longest it's ever been as well.
Yeah, I just think it's what I think every single manager would want to be able to get the players that they would want in pre-season to be able to work, and if not, get them in through pre-season. So, but that, unfortunately for us, that's not been the case. We haven't been able to do that. So I've said it before, I can't lose energy and focus on what I can't control. So what I can is control the players that we have and do the very best with what we have.
And could you see any potential outgoings before deadline day as well? Any other players who may be looking for move away?
Not at this moment in time. There's been no inquiries as of yet. So yeah, unless that changes in the next 48 hours.
And we'll leave transfers for a second. Looking ahead to Manchester United, what have you made of Erik ten Hag's kind of first 4 games in charge? Yeah,
I think Eric's adapting to the country. He'll, in the league, he'll understand very quickly. It's the tempo and the intensity will be different to where he's come from before, and obviously the magnitude of the job. But it's just time. He needs the time to be able to assess the squad under pressure, playing in the games. He will need time to bring in the players that he wants, and then time to put in place the philosophy he wants. So, of course, in the modern game, that can be difficult, but given time, I'm sure he'll do very well.
And have you come cross paths before with Ten Hag?
No. I met Eric at the league managers meeting, or Premier League managers meeting. Sorry. A little while back, so that was the first time I'd met him.
And also, I wanted to ask you about, just finally on Scott Parker. He left Bournemouth this morning, and you talked about managers not having loads of time. We're 4 games into the season. What was your kind of reaction to that news?
Yeah, obviously bitterly disappointed for Scott. He's done a great job in getting them promoted. And of course, over the course of the summer, he's had his own difficulties in terms of wanting to get players in. Scott knows the level, having been in the Premier League, and as a manager, you know where you want to be able to bring your squad to order to be competitive. And I think it's just been really unfortunate for him that he hasn't been able to do that. So, and then obviously it has resulted in him leaving his post. So now he's shown very early on in his career as a manager, Scott, that he can do a fantastic job. And we all know the business now that you can lose your job, and it's unfortunate. So now I'm sure he'll go away and he'll get another very good post.
Thank you very much, Ben.
Pleasure.
So Dan, we'll go to Naz from the Premier League.
Hi, Brendan, UK.
Hi, Naz.
Brendan, results have not sort of registered as you'd hoped, but are you pleased with the majority of the performances that have been in the majority of the games? Because the performance levels have been there, haven't they?
Well, certain levels, I think it's just, this league is all about consistency. And if you can find consistency in the performance level, then you can end up getting consistent results. I think we should have more points than we have. I think that's fair enough to say. We've been in good positions in games, and of course at the weekend I felt we should have had something from that. So, but you got to be able to turn those performance consistently into results, and it's not been ideal, of course, the start, and it is very early. However, we would have hoped to have made a better start.
How important is it as well if confidence and belief levels drop for you and the squad to make sure those levels are still there when you're going through this kind of run?
Yeah, well, it's very important. I think what's important at this stage is that there's clarity for the players in terms of the game idea, the plan, and then just reinforcing there's no magic formula. It's based around hard work. The hard work will give you the confidence, and then from that you have a better chance to succeed. So it's just working hard every single day, keeping things as simple as possible, and then obviously you get that little bit of luck as well in the games.
You mentioned after the Chelsea game about maybe being a little bit more ruthless in both boxes, and if you had done that, maybe you would have had the points that your performances deserved. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think just a little bit of intensity, and like I said, we've conceded some goals from outside the box, which you want to have pressure in those areas. It's an area where the red flag comes, because you get players at this level 25 to 30 yards away from goal. They can shoot, they can combine, so you have to be able to recognise those moments in the games and then go and press the game. So that's something that we analyse and look at and look to improve on.
And Thursday's game, it's an ideal game, really, if you were to get the 3 points. What a game to do it in, Manchester United in front of your home fans.
Yeah.
And, ideal scenario potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a matter of time before it will come, and we would love it to happen on Thursday. So, but we'll go into the game with the confidence. As I said, we've started well in most of our games, so we can get a good start in the game and look to impose that intensity right the way through, and then collectively, because we're a team that we have to be all together. Everyone has to be synchronised in what we do, and if we do that, then we've shown that we can be a good team.
Just finally wanted to highlight a couple of players that played at the weekend, Boubacar Samari and Dennis Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
Thought they did very well, and how have you found their sort of progress and sort of kind of reintegration back in after Dennis's loan spell?
Yeah, for the likes of Bouba, I'm pleased, because he helps us get through the pitch a little quicker. He can progress the game. He's obviously short on game fitness, why he only played the length of time that he did. But I was pleased with him. I've been really pleased with him in training, so I think that if he can translate that into the confidence and training into the games, then he can hopefully have a really good season for us. Dennis, like you say, he's been involved in the club before, and he's been keen to try and show that he can have an impact on the squad.
Brilliant. Thanks, Brendan.
Cheers.
Let's get Jason from TalkSport.
Hi, Jason.
7 wins in the Premier League this calendar year, 2 of those against teams that were relegated towards the end of last season. How concerned are you by the longer-term trend of how the results are going this season, not just the start of this campaign?
Yeah, listen, the game's about results, of course, and we just continue to work hard and find those results. What
does success look like this season? Did it change at all? Do your targets and goals change despite that start to the campaign?
I think I'd mentioned before that I would wait to reserve what that ambition would be until after the window closes, and I think it'll be a lot clearer where we're at after Thursday.
Understandable. On Saturday, you spoke about the need to be more aggressive, have more desire, and be brave when you were asked about conceding another goal from outside the box. Now, you said something similar back in February when asked about set-piece defending. You said, it's about organisation, desire, and the will to head the ball. We're putting in lots of work to be ruthless in our defending. Do some of your players have the right desire when it comes to defending?
I think what you've seen from the set piece scenario, that we've improved in that aspect. So that's something that needed to improve on, and at this early stage, I think we've worked well in that side of it. I think within the game, it's a collective, especially when you get into the final third. I think it's one where you as a team, you have to, in certain areas of the pitch, you have to stop crosses. When it comes into the box, you've got to get the first contacts, and that's something that I think that it's more about consistency. I think we've shown that we can do that, and we can keep clean sheets, but it has to be on a consistent basis, and that's decision making at times from within the game. So hopefully that's an area, like I say, we want to improve on, and hopefully we can do that.
I mean, you talked about it, as I mentioned there back in February, about putting in lots of work, and you talked about it over the summer as well. I guess you can't coach or necessarily coach desire and aggressiveness. So give us an idea about the type of work that you did put in to get those set pieces, as you say, better this season?
Yeah, I think it's always one of the aspects that is very difficult to transfer is will and a desire to be first to the ball. We do lots of work, obviously on the field, like you say, on the static positions from set pieces and looking at that organisation. But it's always about that contact and getting the first contact. So that's done throughout various numbers of exercises.
Thank you.
Yes, Colin, from the FT.
Thank you. Just one from me, I think.
Yeah.
I've noticed in the past few press conferences, you've talked about consistency. You've also talked about everyone being in sync. And I wonder, are you worried that somewhere there's the club, maybe with you and maybe with the players, there's not complete synchronicity at the moment about what you want and what you're getting?
I think that I mentioned before that any environment that where you can develop in has to be stable. And at the moment, our environment, the stability is not there for various reasons. And I think that'll change quite a bit once the window closes. But I think this window has been a real challenging window for us. There's absolutely no question about that. Players that maybe thought they were moving on that are not, hoping to get players in to improve and help. Obviously, hasn't been able to be done. And then players in last years of contracts. So for a multitude of reasons, I think what is important is it's that continually beating the drum, that being collective is so important. Because without that, and without spirit, we've got talented players, but it doesn't count for anything if you're not together, and if you're not talented. So that's always something that you always have to reinforce as a coach and a manager. But like I say, I think once the window shuts, it'll settle everything down and allow us hopefully to push on.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
So we've got Owen from Radio Leicester.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Owen.
Okay.
No.
I know you mentioned about James Maddison and you're hopeful for him for Thursday. Are there any fresh injuries ahead of the game, or anyone who may be doubtful ahead of Thursday?
Nobody, no one, not injured, no.
Good. On the transfer window, last week you mentioned about possibly needing a couple of players out before maybe being able to bring one of those signings in. If Wesley Fofana is one of them, do you still feel like you need to take another member or move another player on before you can bring anyone else in?
I think we'll be able to do something. If Wesley goes, then that would hopefully give us the opportunity to do something. So I think at the beginning of the window it was earmarked that there was maybe going to be a number of people that were going to be able to go out and play, or the club could move, but that hasn't materialised. So yeah, but I'd still be hopeful that we can do something over these last few days.
How extensive has the planning been, and how difficult has it been as well, trying to work alongside other deals that may be happening this late on in the window, so that if you can press the button on one of those players, that you are able just to go and do it? What's that planning kind of scenario's been like?
Yeah, well, it was very, very difficult, as you can imagine. You know, you're trying to prepare for so many what-if scenarios. Because, like I said, when you don't have the funds there to be able to do anything, then of course it is very difficult. But like I say, there's hasn't stopped a lot of great work going on behind the scenes from many people. But of course, when you can't press the button to bring players in, then of course it can always be a challenge.
How confident are you about being able to get the players or player that you need or want through the door before Thursday night? I suppose, you know, the Manchester United game doesn't necessarily help matters with it being on the same day.
Not really, no. But I think the work will be done by other people within the club. If we were able to bring any players in, then of course we have as I said, a very good recruitment team. We've got John as our director of football, and the other football operations staff will be able to organise that well, hopefully.
Have there been any key areas you've really identified, or is it clearly a central defender may be in there as well? But is that at the top of your list, or are there other priorities for you?
Yeah, but listen, we've got a number of areas that we wanted to improve, but we haven't been able to do that thus far. So let's see what the window brings, and we'll take it from there.
We've seen drop-offs in some of the games, particularly in that sort of 50 to 60 minute mark, where goals have been conceded, and then it picks up again towards the end of the game. Have you looked and identified why that is the case?
Yeah, we're always analysing and looking over the course of the games to see where the dips can happen. Like I say, it was disappointing for us at the weekend. It came right after half time, and then we're chasing the game and play well for that final 30 minutes. So yeah, you're always analysing the level of performance, and that's what I mentioned earlier. It's really trying to find that consistency across the game. As I said, we've played well for parts of all the games that we've played, but we just have to find that level where we can be more consistent and hopefully then get the results that I think we deserve.
What's that like to coach when you're trying to almost bring consistency to a complete performance? How difficult is that? Yeah,
well, it's just it's a constant analysis of it, and not the players overthinking it. I think it's all based around confidence. And of course, when if your confidence is a little lower than what it normally is, then of course that's the challenge. But these players, like I say, they've shown that they're talented players. But we also have to show another side, because there's many talented players around, but it's all about the character and the mentality, and that's what will take us up the table, and we'll look to bring that into our next game.
Final one from me, Brendan, but tactically, I wonder what you've made to the style that Erik ten Hag has brought to the Premier League, and how similar it is to sides you've already played against, and maybe the kind of different nuances that he's brought to this.
Well, no, I haven't seen anything yet. I've seen a change in the last two games where it's very clear how Erik will want to play in the future. His background in Holland and especially Ajax will see him want to define a certain philosophy. He's probably tried to introduce that into the players over the course of the summer and the early games, and that has proven to be difficult, especially without the profile of players that he will want. So, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be time. Erik will need time to work with the players that's there, but also very importantly, bring in the types of players that will allow him to play in the way he wants to play. So. But that aside, they've shown in the Liverpool game and the Southampton game that they have top quality players. So we have to be mindful of that, especially the speed of the front three and how they can hurt you. And then I've obviously got Bruno Fernandes in below, playing in probably his favourite position in number 10, who who can score and create a goal. So they still get some top quality players, whilst Eric will be looking to impose his philosophy in time.